What is good, YouTube? A Squad 72, and today I'm gonna be going over my thoughts on Black Clover. Black Clover is this anime that just came out this month. The manga's been out for a little bit, but the actual animation just dropped this month. I want to say about October 3rd, but here are pretty much my thoughts on it. Black Clover is based in this world where humans were almost wiped to extinction by demons. Years after this event, humans use magic in their everyday lives, whether it's household chores, fighting in the army, anything that you could think of in between. That's what they use magic for. Now, the story follows these two 15-year-old orphans, Asta and Yuno, mostly Asta so far, but Yuno is this talented kid who has a natural affinity for magic, and when it comes to it, he's granted, or should I say chosen, by a legendary four-leaf grimoire. Now, grimoire are magical books, from what I can tell, because they don't actually explain it as far as what all they consist of, but I just assume that they're just books filled with powerful spells and magic that normal people don't have access to. A three-leaf clover on a grimoire represents faith, love, and hope. A four-leaf clover pretty much encompasses all of that and the fact that the user has good fortune. But anyway, the grimoires are pretty much going to be a discussion for another time. I'll make another video about those later. But Asta is who the story predominantly follows, and so he has zero aptitude for the magic arts, and he makes up for it by training his body, and he thinks that if he increases his physical strength, he can somehow close the gap between his best friend and rival, Yuno. This is somewhat true, but in the world where people pull up on you with magic, you're pretty much going to need a little bit more than just your fist to fend them off. But luckily, that's exactly what happened. So earlier I mentioned Yuno was chosen by a four-leaf grimoire. Well, Asta wasn't chosen at all. Well, at first he wasn't anyway. He later gets chosen due to the fact that he has a demon or has a demon spirit, or one of those wasn't made too clear in the beginning, which they represent this by him being chosen by a grimoire that has a five-leaf black clover on it, which hence the show Black Clover. What I liked about this show, you might ask, as far as on the positive sides, I like the animation. I like that it was done very well, and everything looked like it belonged, and it looked like it was drawn very well. Like, I can't really complain about the animation at all. For the most part, I did like the characters. There wasn't anyone that annoyed me, which is a plus, and everybody seemed like they fit. It was, nobody stood out too much, but like nobody really, like I said, annoyed me. So a bit of the world building that we actually got was decent. The fight scene in the first episode was a bit one-sided, and I'm interested to see how it develops as far as how technical these fights are going to get, seeing that these guys are not magicians, but they're wizards in a sense, and they're using magic. So I would imagine that they can't just spam any powerful spells or too many things from their grimoires too many times. I would hope that it either wears on your stamina or, I guess, mana in this case, since they're using magic. But like I said, I'm a bit interested to see how far they'll go and how, like, the complexity of the fights between other characters as the story progresses. And what I didn't like, which will probably be fleshed out, seeing that this is only the first episode, but it was like one or two things that I didn't like that I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier before, was that the aspect of the grimoire where they didn't give you enough. Which, I mean, it was, yeah, these grimoires are just they're spell books, but I mean, what all do they consist? And they have different levels and different ranks. But I guess, like I said, they'll explain that the more they continue throughout the story. Another thing too was the timeline, because it didn't make any sense to me as far as in the opening scene there's this giant demon and he's destroying the city, and the magic emperor, or the wizard king, and also these two orphans, everybody's dream in the city is, every 15-year-old's dream in the city is to be a magic emperor. They want to be the next magic emperor. As we all know, everybody can't be that, but that's the goal that these two kids are working for. But in the beginning scene, there's this giant demon, and there's this magic emperor who stops the demons, and he stops this whole event as far as the humans being extinct. And they tell you first up that this happens 10 years before the story actually starts. And so now, if you've been following me, I've noted that both Asta and Yuno are both 15 years old, so they were 5 when this happened, if my math adds up. But I don't understand how he could possess a demon, if he was there and alive when this whole catastrophe went down. So I mean, I guess that'll that'll be cleaned up as the story progresses as well. Those are the two negatives that I had. I had a lot more positives than I did negatives. Overall, the anime itself has my interest. I'm curious to see how far this will go. I'm curious to see how this will play out and how these characters will progress throughout the story. I'll definitely continue to do updates and views and different things for the anime as it continues, but this definitely has my attention. If you've seen the anime, if you've seen Black Clover, if you read the manga, let me know what you think about it down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you guys for checking out the video. Peace.